because many of them are just normal people trying to escape very horrible, difficult situations and just build a good life.
There's a group of people that really haven't been mentioned so far, which is the British people. When did it become acceptable to impose an extreme policy of open borders, unvetted illegal migrants coming into the country, nearly 200,000? On the current trends, by the next general election, on the current trends, we will have another 181,000 illegal migrants coming into this country over the next few years.
Matt Goodwin erupts on live TV about illegal migration, going head-to-head with Faiza Shaheen as he says Britain's border programme is in chaos and taxpayers are footing the bill. He cites £155 billion spent on accommodation and warns that, on current trends, nearly 200,000 arrivals could swell by another 181,000 before the next election. And this is where it turns. Will leave you gobsmacked when you hear who he blames and what he demands next. He even calls to quit the ECHR and scrap the Human Rights Act, while Shaheen argues most families want the same things as us. Who's telling the truth? If you think the migration debate is all polite panels and safe soundbites, forget it. What happened live on air was a proper clash, and it tells you exactly where the country is right now. Here's the situation in plain English. Matt Goodwin went on TV and argued Britain's asylum and illegal migration system is out of control. He says it's costing a fortune, it's putting the public at risk, and both major parties have allowed it to happen for years. Faiza Shaheen pushes back and says most asylum seekers are ordinary families, and we shouldn't treat everyone like a criminal because of a minority. That's the conflict, enforcement and deterrence versus compassion and context.
It's always interesting listening to a Labour politician talk about common sense, because that is the opposite of what is happening in this country right now. Everybody who's looking at the absolute shambles of the borders, everybody in this country is paying £15 billion to accommodate people who are often breaking our laws. These islands are known for having a sense of fairness. We created the idea of fair play. That is not what is happening in this country. We have governments, both Tory and Labour, which are incentivising people to break our laws, enter our country illegally, and, to be frank, putting women, children, our people at risk. That's what we've seen for much of the last week. From Walsall, Rhiannon White, the young mother, stabbed in the head 20 times by an illegal migrant from Sudan. That's what we've seen in places like Uxbridge. That's what we've seen in places like Bournemouth. This is a complete shambles. We need to put the British people first, take control of our borders, leave the European Convention on Human Rights, repeal Tony Blair's Human Rights Act, and detain and deport anybody who arrives illegally.
I mean, I just want to, I guess, look, there's no doubt that there is absolute chaos in what our asylum system looks like right now. I mean, whether you look at how slow it's been to process the applications or where people are living and what's happened in some of those communities. But I really want to pull you up, Matt, on this point about saying they're often breaking laws. There are, of course, some people that are doing things that are deplorable and wrong, and they need to be deported and put in jail and the rest of it.
Right. According to what you just heard, he's saying the government has effectively rewarded illegal entry, then asked ordinary people to pick up the tab. He also calls for a tougher legal posture, leaving the European Convention on Human Rights and scrapping the Human Rights Act. In one sentence, he's arguing those legal protections make removals harder, so he wants them out of the way. Whether you agree or not, it's a clear, testable position: fewer barriers, faster detention, quicker deportation for illegal arrival. Now, Shaheen's broader point, that many people are normal families, is fair enough as a human statement. But politics isn't just about feelings, it's about outcomes. A functioning system has to do three boring, essential things: decide claims quickly, vet properly, and enforce decisions. If someone is approved, fine, integrate them, get them working, get kids in school, no endless limbo. If someone is refused, the removal has to happen. Otherwise, you're not running an asylum system, you're running a loophole. And here's where people lose patience. Politicians talk about processing like it's the whole problem, but they dodge the incentives. If illegal arrival reliably leads to accommodation and years in limbo, more people will try it. That's not cruelty, that's basic reality. So when the public asks for deterrence, they are not being heartless. They're asking for rules that mean something. Now stay with the exchange, because it stops being about policy and turns into something even uglier. Who's allowed to talk about this without being smeared? Listen for the moment he says the British people are missing from the conversation, then he goes straight at the labels.
But those are the minority. And I really want to highlight this because I, at Christmas, was invited by this refugee charity local to me in East London and was asked to judge a competition that children were doing. And honestly, these families, some of them had come through irregular routes. They want the same things as us. They want the same things as us. They want their kids to do well in school. They're coming from places like Iraq and Afghanistan, which most of us here have memories long enough to understand that we have a role in why those countries are in a bad way. From Sudan, where there's absolute atrocious things happening on the ground and we don't talk enough about. And UAE is one of the countries involved there, and we sell them arms. So again, this has something to do with us. And we should absolutely just push away this idea that somehow we should be scared of all asylum seekers, because many of them are just normal people trying to escape very horrible, difficult situations and just build a good life for their family.
Just briefly.
No, you said they're asking
there's a group of people that really haven't been mentioned so far, which is the British people. When did it become acceptable to impose an extreme policy of open borders, unvetted illegal migrants coming into the country, nearly 200,000. On the current trends, by the next general election, on the current trends, we will have another 181,000 illegal migrants coming into this country over the next few years. You say they don't commit crime, violence, etc. What do you say to the family of Rhiannon White, the young mother who was murdered by a man from Sudan? What do you say to the family of the 8-year-old in Lambeth who was raped by an asylum seeker? Or the 12-year-old in Nuneaton who was raped by an asylum seeker? Or the 10-year-old in Stockport? But this is the narrative that we have, and if we talk about it, we're far right. If we talk about it, we're racist. And by the way, Lisa, your leader, Keir Starmer, just stood at Labour Party conference and said, if you are voting for the Reform Party, if you want to change this country, you're far right, you're Nazi.
That right there is the toxic cycle. People raise questions about safety, numbers, vetting, and enforcement, and they get shouted down with insults instead of answers. You don't fix a country by calling voters names. You fix it by making the rules clear, enforcing them fairly, and putting citizens back at the front of the queue. Britain is a generous country, but it's not a soft touch. We can be decent and still be firm, and we should never apologize for expecting border control to be real, not just a slogan.